Hagen stared at his computer screen for the third time that morning. The numbers still looked wrong. He rubbed his eyes and checked again. Still wrong. This can't be right, he said to himself. For 6 months, Hagen had been working at the Galactic Federation's data center on Station Prime. His job was simple. He looked at reports from all the planets in the Federation. He made sure everything was correct. He fixed mistakes. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Today was different. Today, something was very wrong with Earth's data. Hagen pulled up Earth's file again. The planet was listed as inhabited by humans. Population, 8 billion. Climate, varied. Oceans, present. All normal so far. Then he saw the disaster report section. It was completely empty. 0 natural disasters in the last 200 years? Hagen said out loud. That's impossible. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small device. It was his personal data scanner. He pointed it at his screen and pressed the button. The device beeped once. Data confirmed, the device said in a calm voice. Earth, 0 recorded natural disasters from standard year 2224 to present. Hagen felt confused. Every planet had natural disasters. It was a fact of life in space. Earthquakes happened, volcanoes erupted, storms destroyed cities, floods washed away homes. That's just how planets worked. He decided to check other planets for comparison. Computer, show me disaster reports for Kepler 442b, he said. The screen filled with data. Hurricanes every few months, earthquakes at least once a year, 3 major volcanic eruptions in the last decade, floods almost every spring season. Show me Proxima Centauri b. More disasters. Dust storms that lasted for weeks. Underground gas. Explosions. Massive landslides. Show me Gliese 667 cc. Same thing. The planet had reports of disasters almost every month. Hagen leaned back in his chair. He had checked 50 planets in the last hour. Every single one had regular natural disasters. Every single one except Earth. Maybe the humans are just bad at keeping records, he thought. But that didn't make sense either. Humans were known for being very careful with their data. They loved to write things down and keep track of everything. The door to his office opened. Boram walked in carrying a cup of coffee. She was Hagen's supervisor and had been working at the data center for 20 years. You look worried, Boram said. What's wrong? Look at this, Hagen said. He turned his screen toward her. Earth has no disaster reports for 200 years. Boram looked at the screen and shrugged. So that's impossible, Hagen said. Every planet has natural disasters. It's basic science. Maybe they fixed their problems, Boram said. Some species are smarter than others. No species is that smart, Hagen said. You can't just turn off earthquakes and volcanoes. Boram sat down in the chair across from his desk. Listen, Hagen. You're new here. Sometimes the data has mistakes. Sometimes planets don't report everything. Don't worry about it too much. But what if it's not a mistake? Hagen asked. What if something else is going on? Boram finished her coffee and stood up. If you're really worried about it, send a message to the Earth Liaison Office. Ask them to check their records. After Boram left, Hagen sat alone in his office. He stared at Earth's file for a long time. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't explain what it was. He opened a new message window on his computer. To Earth Liaison Office, Station Prime, he typed. From Hagen, Data Analysis Department. Subject, Missing Disaster Reports. Hello. I am reviewing Earth's planetary data files. I noticed that no natural disasters have been reported for the past 200 years. This seems unusual. Could you please check your records and confirm this information is correct? Thank you. He pressed send and waited. An hour later, his computer beeped. He had a reply. From Tejo, Earth Liaison Officer. Subject, Missing Disaster Reports. Hello, Hagen. Thank you for your message. I have checked our records. The information in your files is correct. Earth has experienced no major natural disasters in the time period you mentioned. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Best regards, Tae-ho. Hae-jin read the message 3 times. The answer was polite, but it told him nothing. He decided to visit the Earth Liaison Office in person. The office was located on level 15 of Station Prime. Hae-jin took the elevator up and walked down a long hallway. The Earth Liaison Office was at the end. He knocked on the door. "Come in," a voice said. Hae-jin opened the door and stepped inside. The office was small but comfortable. There were pictures of Earth on the walls. Mountains, oceans, forests, cities. It looked like a beautiful planet. Behind the desk sat a human man. He appeared to be in his 40s with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore the standard Federation uniform. "You must be Hae-jin," the man said with a smile. "I'm Tae-ho. Please sit down." Hae-jin sat in the chair across from the desk. "Thank you for seeing me." "Of course," Tae-ho said. "What can I help you with?" "It's about Earth's disaster reports," Hae-jin said. "Or rather, the lack of disaster reports." Tae-ho's smile never changed, but something flickered in his eyes. "What would you like to know?" "How is it possible?" Hae-jin asked. "Every other planet in the Federation has regular natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, but Earth has had none for 200 years. How do you explain that?" Tae-ho was quiet for a moment. He looked out the window at the stars. "Earth is a stable planet," he said finally. "We've been fortunate." "That fortunate?" Hae-jin pressed. "Not even a small earthquake? Not even a minor storm?" "We have weather," Tae-ho said carefully. "And sometimes the ground shakes a little, but nothing that would be classified as a disaster." Hae-jin felt frustrated. The answer sounded rehearsed, like Tae-ho had given it many times before. "I've studied planetary science," Hae-jin said. "What you're describing is scientifically impossible. Planets don't just become stable on their own." For just a moment, Tae-ho's smile became wider. It was a strange smile, like he knew a secret. "Perhaps," Tae-ho said, "your understanding of what's possible needs to be updated." Hae-jin left the Earth Liaison Office with more questions than answers. Something was definitely wrong, but he couldn't prove it. That evening he stayed late at work. He pulled up every piece of data the Federation had about Earth. Geological surveys, atmospheric readings, seismic reports, weather patterns. What he found made his blood run cold. According to the geological surveys, Earth should be one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. The planet sat on top of massive tectonic plates that moved constantly. There were active volcanoes everywhere. The weather systems were chaotic and unpredictable. By all scientific understanding, Earth should have major disasters every few weeks. But it didn't. Hae-jin printed out all the reports and spread them across his desk. He studied them for hours. Finally, he picked up his communicator and called Boram. "Boram," he said when she answered. "I think we need to send an investigation team to Earth." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Boram? Are you there?" "I'm here," she said. "Hae-jin, are you sure about this? Investigation teams are expensive. The Council won't approve one unless we have a very good reason." "I have the geological data," Hae-jin said. "Earth should be destroying itself with natural disasters. But it's not. Something is preventing them." "Something like what?" "I don't know," Hae-jin said. "That's why we need to investigate." Boram was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. "Send me everything you have. If the data supports your theory, I'll take it to the Council tomorrow." Hae-jin smiled for the first time all day. Finally, someone was taking him seriously. "Thank you, Boram. I'll send it right now." As he prepared the files, Hae-jin couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to uncover something big. Something that would change everything they thought they knew about humans and their little blue planet. He just hoped he was ready for whatever truth he might find. 3 weeks later, Hae-jin stood on the deck of the Federation research ship Starseeker. Through the large window, he could see Earth getting bigger as they approached. The planet looked peaceful from space. Blue oceans, white clouds, green, and brown land. It was beautiful. Hard to believe that pretty little world is hiding secrets, said a voice behind him. He-Jin turned around. A tall alien with blue skin and large black eyes was walking toward him. This was Jinwoo, a member of the cetacean species. He was the leader of the investigation team. The data doesn't lie, He-Jin said. Something is very wrong down there. We'll find out soon enough, Jinwoo said. Our equipment can detect things the humans might have missed. The investigation team had 6 members. Jinwoo was the team leader. Yujin was a Federation seismologist who studied earthquakes. The other 3 were specialists in weather, geology, and planetary science. But what made He-Jin curious were the 2 human members of the team. Minho was introduced as Earth's top geologist. So Young was a xenobiologist who studied alien life, forms. Both seemed friendly, but He-Jin noticed they often looked at each other in a strange way, like they were sharing a private joke. "Attention all crew," came a voice over the ship's speakers. "We are now entering Earth's atmosphere. Please prepare for landing." The ship shook gently as it passed through the clouds. Soon they were flying over a large continent. He-Jin could see mountains, forests, and cities below. Everything looked normal. They landed at a spaceport near a city called Geneva. A group of humans was waiting for them. They wore official uniforms and carried various pieces of equipment. "Welcome to Earth," said a woman with short black hair. "I'm Dr. Park, the head of Earth's Geological Survey. We're excited to work with you." Jinwoo stepped forward. "Thank you for hosting us, Dr. Park. We're eager to begin our investigation." Dr. Park smiled, but He-Jin noticed her smile seemed forced. "Of course. We've prepared everything you requested. Transportation, equipment, access to our data centers." "Excellent," Jinwoo said. "Let's start with a basic geological survey. I want to see Earth's fault lines." Minho, the human geologist, stepped forward. "I can guide you to the most interesting locations," he said. "There are some fascinating formations in this region." As they loaded their equipment into vehicles, He-Jin watched the humans carefully. They were being helpful, but something felt off. They seemed too calm, too prepared. The first stop was a mountain range about an hour's drive from the spaceport. Jinwoo set up his seismic equipment, while Yujin prepared her earthquake detectors. The other team members spread out to take various measurements. "This is impossible," Yujin said after an hour of readings. "Look at these numbers." Everyone gathered around her equipment. The screen showed waves and lines that meant nothing to He-Jin, but the expressions on the aliens' faces told him it was important. "What are we looking at?" He-Jin asked. "Seismic pressure," Yujin explained, "the amount of stress building up underground. According to these readings, there should be a major earthquake here within days." "Days?" Jinwoo asked. "How major?" "At least magnitude 7.0, Yujin said. "Maybe higher. This much pressure has to release somehow." He-Jin looked at Minho and So-Young. The 2 humans exchanged another one of their looks. "That's interesting," Minho said casually. "Our equipment must be calibrated differently." "Calibrated? Differently?" Jinwoo's voice was sharp. "These are Federation standard instruments. They're the same throughout the galaxy." "Well," So-Young said with a small smile, "maybe Earth is just special." They moved to 3 more locations that day. Each time the Federation equipment detected enormous underground pressure. Each time the readings indicated that major disasters should happen very soon. And each time, Minho and So-Young acted like it was no big deal. That evening, the team gathered in their hotel to discuss the findings. "Something is very wrong here," Jinwoo said. He paced back and forth in the meeting room. "Every location we visited today should be experiencing constant earthquakes. The seismic pressure is off the charts. Maybe the pressure is being released in ways we don't understand," suggested one of the other aliens. "No," Yujin said firmly. "I've studied planetary geology for 30 years. This level of pressure has to go somewhere. There's no natural way to contain it." He-Jin raised his hand. "What if it's not natural?" The room went quiet. Everyone looked at him. "What do you mean?" Jinwoo asked. "What if something artificial is containing the pressure? He-Jin said. What if someone built something to prevent earthquakes? The aliens in the room laughed. All, except Jin-Woo. That's impossible, said the weather specialist. You can't just build something to stop earthquakes. The forces involved are too massive. Besides, added the planetary scientist, no species in the galaxy has that kind of technology. Jin-Woo was still thinking. Minho, he said, turning to the human geologist. What do you think about He-Jin's theory? Minho was quiet for a moment. I think, he said carefully, that you shouldn't assume something is impossible just because you've never seen it before. The next morning, they visited a volcanic region. The Federation equipment detected even more alarming readings. This is insane, He-Jin said, staring at her instruments. This volcano should have erupted last month. The magma pressure is beyond critical levels. They were standing on the slope of a large mountain. Steam came from vents in the rocks and the air smelled of sulfur. It looked like an active volcano should look. According to our historical records, So Young said, this volcano last erupted about 300 years ago. 300 years? The weather specialist laughed. With these pressure levels, it should erupt every few months. Jin-Woo set up his deep scanning equipment. This machine could see far underground and detect unusual structures. He pointed it at the base of the volcano and turned it on. The screen filled with complex patterns. Jin-Woo adjusted the settings and looked closer. That's odd, he said. What is it? He-Jin asked. There are structures down there, Jin-Woo said slowly. Artificial structures very deep underground. Minho and So Young moved closer to see the screen. They looked at each other again, and this time He-Jin was sure he saw worry in their eyes. Are you certain? So Young asked. Absolutely, Jin-Woo said. Look at these patterns. They're too regular to be natural. Someone built something down there. He-Jin came over to look. How deep? About 5 kilometers down, Jin-Woo said. And it's big. Really big. What could it be? Asked the planetary scientist. I don't know, Jin-Woo said. But I think we need to find out. Minho cleared his throat. Maybe we should head back to the city, he said. It's getting late. No, Jin-Woo said firmly. We're going to map this entire structure. I want to know what's down there. They spent the rest of the day scanning the area. What they found was shocking. The underground structures extended for kilometers in every direction. They formed a complex network that seemed to surround the entire volcanic system. It's like a cage, He-Jin said quietly. Something built a cage around the volcano. But what could contain that much pressure? Asked the weather specialist. I don't know, Jin-Woo said. But whatever it is, it's working. As the sun began to set, they packed up their equipment. He-Jin noticed that Minho was making quiet phone calls, speaking in a language he didn't recognize. During the drive back to the city, Jin-Woo sat next to He-Jin. You were right, Jin-Woo said quietly. Someone is preventing these disasters. But who? He-Jin asked. And how? I think, Jin-Woo said, looking at Minho and So Young in the front seats. Our human friends know more than they're telling us. That night, He-Jin couldn't sleep. He stood at his hotel window, looking out at the city below. The lights twinkled peacefully. People went about their normal lives completely unaware that they should all be dead from earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Someone was protecting them. Someone with technology far more advanced than anything the Federation had ever seen. But who? And why were they keeping it secret? He-Jin had a feeling that tomorrow would bring even more shocking discoveries, and he was beginning to suspect that humans were much more than they appeared to be. The next morning, Minho looked different. He seemed nervous as he ate breakfast with the investigation team. His hands shook slightly as he drank his coffee. Are you feeling all right? Jin-Woo asked. I'm fine, Minho said quickly. Just didn't sleep well. So Young was also acting strange. She kept checking her communication device and whispering to Minho when she thought no one was looking. Where are we going today? He-Jin asked. Jin-Woo spread a map on the table. I want to investigate the underground structures we found yesterday. We need to understand what they are. Minho almost dropped his coffee cup. Underground, that might be difficult. Why? Jinwoo asked sharply. Well, Minho said, looking at So Young, some areas are restricted for safety reasons. Safety reasons? Yujin laughed. We're trained professionals with advanced equipment. What could be dangerous down there? Minho and So Young looked at each other for a long moment. Finally, So Young sighed. I think, she said slowly, we need to make some phone calls. She pulled out her communication device and walked to the corner of the room. Hai-Jin could hear her speaking quietly, but he couldn't understand the words. After 5 minutes, she came back. There's someone who wants to meet you, she said. Someone who can explain things better than we can. Who? Jinwoo demanded. His name is Dong Hyun, So Young said. He's an engineer. An hour later, they were driving through the mountains again. But this time they went to a different location. The road led to what looked like a small research station built into the side of a mountain. A man was waiting for them outside the building. He appeared to be in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes. He wore a simple work uniform. You must be the Federation investigation team, he said. I'm Dong Hyun. Nice to meet you, Jinwoo said. So Young tells us you're an engineer. Dong Hyun smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Among other things, please come inside. There's a lot I need to show you. The building looked normal from the outside, but inside was different. The walls were covered with screens showing graphs, numbers, and images that Hai-Jin didn't recognize. The air hummed with the sound of powerful computers. What is this place? Yujin asked. This is Station 7, Dong Hyun said. One of our monitoring stations? Monitoring what? Jinwoo asked. Dong Hyun walked to a large screen on the wall. He pressed some buttons and the screen showed a map of the area. But this wasn't like any map Hai-Jin had ever seen. It showed the underground structures in perfect detail. We monitor the planetary stability systems, Dong Hyun said quietly. The room went silent. Everyone stared at the screen. Planetary stability systems? Hai-Jin repeated. Yes, Dong Hyun said. The network you detected yesterday. We built it. Jinwoo's mouth fell open. You built it? That's impossible. Those structures are massive. 500 years of work, Dong Hyun said. Started by our ancestors, continued by us. He pressed more buttons. The screen changed to show different views of the underground network. Hai-Jin could see tunnels, machines, and structures that stretched for kilometers in every direction. This is just one small section, Dong Hyun said. The full network covers the entire planet. The entire planet? Yujin whispered. Every fault line, every volcano, every unstable geological formation. Dong Hyun nodded. We've built systems to control them all. The weather specialist found her voice. But why? Why would you do such a thing? Dong Hyun was quiet for a moment. Because we learned the hard way that nature doesn't care about civilization. He led them to another room. This one had a large elevator in the center. Would you like to see for yourselves? He asked. See what? Jinwoo asked. The systems. The real work happens underground. The elevator was bigger than any Hai-Jin had ever seen. All 7 of them fit inside easily. Dong Hyun pressed a button marked 5,000 miller. 5 kilometers down? Yujin gasped. Just the beginning, Dong Hyun said. The elevator ride took 10 minutes. When the doors opened, Hai-Jin couldn't believe what he saw. They were standing in a vast, underground city. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it. Buildings stretched out in every direction. Thousands of people moved through the streets, all wearing the same work uniforms as Dong Hyun. Welcome to Underground Station 7, Dong Hyun said. Home to about 50,000 workers. 50,000? Hai-Jin said weakly. This is just one station, Dong Hyun said. There are hundreds like it around the world. They walked through the underground city. Hai-Jin saw workshops, laboratories, living areas, and recreation centers. It was like a complete world hidden beneath the surface. How long has this been here? Jinwoo asked. This particular station was built 200 years ago, Dong-hyun said. But the first underground facilities are much older. They came to a large window. Through it, Hae-jin could see enormous machines working in a huge cavern. The machines were moving massive pieces of rock and metal. What are they doing? So-young asked. Even she seemed surprised by what she was seeing. Pressure release, Dong-hyun explained. The volcanic system above us builds up pressure constantly. These machines channel that pressure into useful energy. You're stealing energy from volcanoes? Yoo-jin asked. Not stealing, Dong-hyun said. Redirecting. The pressure has to go somewhere. We make sure it goes somewhere safe and useful. They continued walking. Dong-hyun showed them control rooms where workers monitored earthquake activity. He showed them laboratories where scientists studied weather patterns. He showed them workshops where engineers built new machines. This is incredible, Jin-woo said, but it must cost enormous amounts of money and resources. It does, Dong-hyun agreed, but the alternative is worse. What alternative? Hae-jin asked. Dong-hyun stopped walking. He looked at each member of the team. The alternative is watching your entire civilization get destroyed by forces you can't control, he said quietly. He led them to a museum-like area. The walls were covered with pictures and displays. Hae-jin could see images of destroyed cities, massive earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. These are from the early days, Dong-hyun said, before we learned how to fight back. Fight back? The planetary scientist laughed. You can't fight nature, can't you? Dong-hyun asked. Look around. We've been doing it for 5 centuries. They spent 3 hours touring the underground facility. Hae-jin saw things that seemed impossible. Machines that could predict earthquakes months in advance. Systems that could redirect underground rivers to prevent floods. Weather control stations that could break up dangerous storms before they formed. This is beyond anything in Federation technology, Jin-woo said. How did humans develop such advanced systems? Necessity, Dong-hyun said simply. When your survival depends on it, you find ways to do impossible things. They returned to the surface as the sun was setting. The investigation team sat in their vehicle, too shocked to speak. Finally, Jin-woo broke the silence. How many people know about this? On Earth? Everyone, Minho said. It's not a secret here. Children learn about the stability systems in school. But you never told the Federation, Hae-jin said. Would you have believed us? So-young asked. If we had submitted a report saying we control all natural disasters on our planet, what would you have thought? Jin-woo considered this. We would have thought you were lying or crazy. Exactly, So-young said. So we kept quiet and let our work speak for itself. But this changes everything, Yoo-jin said. If humans can control planetary geology, you're the most advanced species in the galaxy. Dong-hyun smiled sadly. Advanced? Maybe. But advancement comes from pain. We learned these skills because we had to. What do you mean? Hae-jin asked. Dong-hyun looked out at the peaceful landscape around them. Earth wasn't our first home, he said quietly, and we swore we would never lose another planet to disasters we could have prevented. The investigation team stared at him. Not your first home? Jin-woo repeated. That, Dong-hyun said, is a story for tomorrow. Tonight, you should rest. What I've shown you today is nothing compared to what you'll learn next. As they drove back to their hotel, Hae-jin's mind was spinning. Humans had technology that could control entire planets. They had been hiding this ability for centuries, and apparently, there was even more to discover. He looked out at the quiet city lights and realized that everything he thought he knew about humans was wrong. They weren't just another species in the Federation. They were something much more powerful and much more mysterious. Tomorrow he would learn just how much more. The next morning, Dong-hyun took the investigation team to a different location. This time they traveled to a large city by the ocean. The building they entered looked like a normal office complex. But Hae-jin was beginning to understand that nothing human was quite what it seemed. Welcome to the Central Archive, Dong-hyun said as they walked through the lobby. This is where we keep our history. They took an elevator to the top floor. The doors opened to reveal a huge circular room with walls covered in screens and displays. In the center sat an elderly man with white hair and kind eyes. "This is Jae-sung," Dong-hyun said. "He's the director of historical records." Jae-sung stood up slowly and bowed to the team. "Welcome," he said. "I understand you have questions about our planetary systems." "Many questions," Jin-woo said. "Starting with what Dong-hyun told us yesterday. He said Earth wasn't your first home." Jae-sung nodded sadly. "Please sit down, this is a long story and not a happy one." They arranged chairs in a circle. Jae-sung pressed a button and the walls around them came alive with images. Hae-jin saw space, stars, and planets he didn't recognize. 800 years ago, Jae-sung began, humans lived on a planet we called First Home. It was beautiful. Green forests, blue oceans, tall mountains, very much like Earth. The images on the walls changed to show a planet that did indeed look like Earth. Cities covered the continents. Ships moved across the oceans. Everything looked peaceful and prosperous. "What happened to it?" Yoo-jin asked quietly. Jae-sung's expression grew dark. "The planet killed itself, and nearly took us with it." "What do you mean?" Hae-jin asked. "First Home was geologically unstable," Jae-sung explained. "But we didn't understand this when we built our civilization there. We thought the occasional earthquakes and volcanic eruptions were just natural events we had to live with." The images changed again. Now they showed destruction. Cities cracking apart from massive earthquakes. Volcanoes erupting and covering everything in ash. Tsunamis washing away coastal areas. "For hundreds of years we dealt with disasters by rebuilding afterward," Jae-sung continued. "We thought that was just how life worked. You build, nature destroys, you build again." "But something changed?" Jin-woo asked. "The disasters got worse," Jae-sung said. "Much worse. Our scientists discovered that First Home's core was becoming unstable. The entire planet was going to tear itself apart." A woman walked into the room carrying a tablet computer. She was middle-aged with short gray hair and intelligent eyes. "This is Mi-young," Jae-sung said. "She's our chief historian. She knows more about First Home than anyone alive." Mi-young sat down and activated her tablet. The wall screens changed to show detailed scientific data. "The end came faster than we expected," Mi-young said. "We had maybe 50 years to evacuate before the planet became uninhabitable." 50 years. The weather specialist gasped. "How do you evacuate an entire world in 50 years?" "You don't," Mi-young said simply. "Not completely." The images on the walls now showed enormous spaceships being built. Thousands of them, in different sizes and designs. "We managed to save about 30 million people," Mi-young continued, "out of a population of 8 billion. The room went silent. Hae-jin felt sick thinking about it. "What happened to the others?" he asked quietly. "They died with the planet," Jae-sung said. "First Home tore itself apart exactly as predicted. The core collapsed, the surface cracked open, and everything was destroyed." "I'm sorry," Jin-woo said. "That must have been terrible." "It was," Mi-young agreed. "But it taught us something very important. Nature is not your friend. Nature doesn't care about your cities, your families, or your dreams. If you want to survive, you have to fight back." Another person entered the room. This was an elderly man who moved slowly but had sharp, alert eyes. "This is Seok-jin," Jae-sung said. "He was actually there. He helped design the evacuation ships." Seok-jin sat down carefully. "I was young then," he said. "But I remember the fear. We knew we were abandoning most of our people to die. It was the worst feeling imaginable." "How long did it take to find Earth?" Hae-jin asked. 300 years, Seok-jin said. "We traveled from system to system looking for a planet we could make safe." "Why Earth?" Yoo-jin asked. "Our scans show it's just as geologically active as your original world." Seok-jin smiled for the first time. "Exactly. That's why we chose it." "I don't understand," Jin-woo said. "We didn't want a safe planet." Mi-young. explained. We wanted a dangerous one. We wanted to prove that we could tame any world, no matter how violent. Earth was perfect, Jae-sung added. Massive fault lines, active volcanoes, chaotic weather systems, it was like first home, but worse. And you conquered it, Hae-jin said with amazement. We learned from our mistakes, Seok-jin said. This time we didn't wait for disasters to happen. We prevented them from the beginning. The wall screens now showed the early days of human colonization on Earth. Hae-jin could see the first underground stations being built, the first earthquake prevention systems, the first weather control satellites. It took us 500 years to build the complete planetary management system, Mi-young said. Each generation added more technology, more control, more safety. And now, Jin-woo asked, now Earth is the safest planet in the galaxy, Jae-sung said proudly. We've eliminated natural disasters completely. A new person entered the room. She was younger, maybe in her 30s, with long black hair and a confident manner. This is Nari, Jae-sung said. She coordinates our planetary defense systems. Defense systems? Hae-jin repeated. Earth is safe from internal disasters, Nari said. But space is full of other dangers. Asteroid impacts, solar flares, cosmic radiation storms. We monitor and prevent those too. She activated her own device, and the screens showed images of space around Earth. Hae-jin could see satellites, space stations, and defensive platforms. We track every object larger than a meter within 1,000,000 kilometers of Earth, Nari explained. If an asteroid is coming, we redirect it. If a solar storm is building, we shield the planet. Incredible, Yoo-jin breathed. But here's what will really surprise you, Nari said with a smile. Earth isn't our only protected world. What? Jin-woo stood up suddenly. We've been expanding for the last 200 years, Nari said. 47 other worlds now have human planetary management systems. 47 worlds? Hae-jin felt dizzy. Most of them are uninhabited, Nari explained. We're preparing them for future colonization, but some already have alien populations. Alien populations? Jin-woo's voice was sharp. What alien populations? Nari looked at the screens, then back at the team. Well, for example, Kepler 442b has been protected for 30 years. The native species there thinks their natural disasters just stopped happening. Hae-jin remembered checking Kepler 442b during his original investigation. It did have fewer disasters in recent decades. You've been secretly protecting other worlds? Jin-woo asked. Of course, Jae-sung said. We learned that disasters destroy civilizations. Why would we let that happen to others when we can prevent it? But without permission, Jin-woo said, without even telling them. Would you have given permission? Mi-young asked. If aliens came to your world and said they wanted to build massive underground systems to control your geology? Jin-woo was quiet for a moment. Probably not, he admitted. So we work quietly, Nari said. We prevent disasters, save lives, and let people think they're just lucky. That's why you never reported your lack of disasters to the Federation, Hae-jin realized. You didn't want anyone to know what you were doing. Exactly. Jae-sung nodded. Until now. Why are you telling us now? Yoo-jin asked. Jae-sung looked at the other humans in the room. They all nodded. Because, he said, we think it's time to share our technology with the galaxy. Time to make every world as safe as Earth. You want to give this technology to the Federation? Jin-woo asked in amazement. Not give, Nari corrected. Teach. Train. Help you build your own planetary protection systems. Every Federation world could be safe from natural disasters, Mi-young added. No more cities destroyed by earthquakes. No more populations killed by volcanic eruptions. Why? Hae-jin asked. Why share something so valuable? Jae-sung stood up slowly and walked to the window. He looked out at the peaceful city below. Because, he said quietly, we remember what it feels like to lose a world. We remember the fear, The helplessness, the terrible choice of who to save and who to leave behind. He turned back to the team. We swore we would never let that happen again. Not to us, and not to anyone else. We've spent 800 years learning how to keep worlds safe. Now it's time to teach others. The investigation team sat in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about humans, about Earth, about the galaxy itself, had just changed completely. Humans weren't just another Federation species. They were the guardians of entire worlds, working in secret to protect civilizations that didn't even know they needed protection, and now they were offering to protect everyone. 6 months later, Heijin stood in the Great Assembly Hall of the Galactic Federation headquarters. He had never seen so many different alien species in one place. Representatives from every member world had come to hear what humans had to say. At you. The center of the hall, a human man in formal robes waited to speak. This was Wu Jin, Earth's planetary president. Next to him stood Hie Jin, the lead scientist of Earth's Global Stability Project. Behind them were dozens of other humans, including some that Hie Jin recognized from his investigation. Fellow beings of the galaxy, Wu Jin began, his voice carried by translators to every corner of the hall. Today, humanity offers you a gift. The hall was completely silent. Everyone was listening. For too long, civilizations across the galaxy have lived in fear of their own planets, Wu Jin continued. Earthquakes destroy cities. Volcanoes bury populations. Storms wash away generations of progress. We have all accepted this as the price of existence. He paused and looked around the hall. But what if I told you that natural disasters are not natural at all? What if they are simply problems waiting to be solved? Murmurs began to spread through the audience. Some aliens looked excited. Others seemed skeptical. 6 months ago, a young data analyst named Hie Jin discovered something strange in Earth's records, Wu Jin said. He found that our planet had experienced 0 natural disasters for 200 years. Today, I'm here to explain why. The main screen behind Wu Jin came alive with images of Earth's underground systems. The aliens in the audience gasped as they saw the massive network of tunnels, machines, and cities beneath the planet's surface. Humanity has spent 500 years building a planetary management system, Wu Jin explained. We monitor every fault line, control every volcano, and redirect every dangerous storm. Earth has no natural disasters because we prevent them all, a representative from the Andorian system stood up. This is impossible. No species has such technology. Hie Jin stepped forward. Honored delegate, we understand your skepticism. That's why we've prepared a demonstration. The screen changed to show a live feed from space. Earth was visible, slowly rotating in the darkness. Right now our planet is experiencing what should be a magnitude 8.7 earthquake, Hie Jin said. The largest in 3 centuries. But watch what happens. The camera zoomed in on a specific region of Earth. Green lights appeared on the surface, marking the earthquake's location. Our seismic control systems are redirecting the pressure energy, Hie Jin explained. Instead of a destructive earthquake, this energy is being converted into electrical power for our cities. On the screen, the green lights pulsed gently. There was no destruction, no damage, no disaster. Just a brief light show as massive geological forces were tamed and controlled. The hall erupted in amazed chatter. Aliens turned to each other, discussing what they had just seen. Another delegate stood up. This one was from the Centauri colonies. Even if this is real, why should we trust you? Why reveal this now? Wu Jin's expression became serious. Because we know what it's like to lose everything, to disasters we couldn't control. The screen changed again. Now it showed images of First Home's destruction. The audience watched in horrified silence as an entire planet tore itself apart. 800 years ago, humanity lost our original homeworld, Wu Jin said quietly. 7 billion people died because we didn't know how to fight back against our own planet's geology. He let the images sink in before continuing. We came to Earth determined that this would never happen again. Not to us, and not to anyone else. A new person joined Wu Jin on the platform. It was Dae Sung, Earth's ambassador to the Federation. He carried a formal document. Today, Dae Sung announced, Humanity formally offers to share our planetary management technology with every member of the Galactic Federation, free of charge, no conditions, no strings attached. The hall exploded. With noise, delegates jumped to their feet, arguing and discussing. Some seemed excited. Others appeared suspicious. The Federation Chancellor, a tall alien with purple skin, called for order. "This is an extraordinary offer," she said. "But how do we know this technology actually works on other worlds?" Another human stepped forward. This was Ji-hoon, a young engineer carrying a tablet computer. "Honored Chancellor," Ji-hoon said, "we've already tested our systems on 47 other worlds, including many Federation member planets." The hall went dead silent. "What do you mean?" the Chancellor asked carefully. Ji-hoon activated his tablet. The main screen now showed a star map of the galaxy. Dozens of planets were marked with blue lights. "For the past 30 years, we've been secretly installing disaster prevention systems on various worlds," Ji-hoon explained. "We wanted to test our technology on different planetary types." He touched his tablet, and one of the blue lights expanded to show detailed information. Kepler 442b, for example. Natural disasters decreased by 97% after we installed seismic stabilizers in 2395. Another light expanded. Proxima, Centauri b. We've been controlling their dust storms for 15 years. The native population thinks their weather just improved naturally. More lights expanded across the map. Planet after planet showed the same pattern. Disasters decreasing dramatically after human intervention. "You've been protecting us without our knowledge?" a delegate shouted. "We've been saving lives," Wu Jin replied firmly. "Would you prefer we had let those disasters happen?" The delegate sat down, looking confused. Yi Jin stepped forward again. "We understand this is shocking, but consider the results. How many cities weren't destroyed? How many lives weren't lost? How many civilizations continued to grow instead of constantly rebuilding?" A young alien from the Outer Rim system stood up. "What do you want in return for this technology?" "Nothing," Wu Jin said simply. "Nothing?" The alien looked suspicious. "There must be some cost." "The only cost is the effort required to build and maintain the systems," Wu Jin explained. "We'll provide the designs, the training, and the initial construction. After that, each world manages its own planetary safety." An older delegate from the core worlds raised his hand. "How long would it take to protect an entire planet?" "Depends on the planet's size and geological complexity," Ji-hoon answered. "A small stable world might take 20 years. A large active planet like Earth took us 5 centuries. But we were learning as we went. With our current knowledge, we could protect most worlds in 50 to 100 years. 50 years? Another delegate gasped. "We could eliminate natural disasters in 50 years. "Not just eliminate," Ye-jin said with a smile. "We can turn them into resources. Earthquake energy becomes electricity. Volcanic heat becomes power for cities. Storm winds become clean energy sources. Disasters become opportunities," Wu Jin added. The Federation Chancellor stood up slowly. "This is the most significant offer in galactic history. If humanity can truly eliminate natural disasters, it would change everything." "It would save billions of lives," said a delegate from the disaster-prone Vega system. "It would allow civilizations to plan for the future instead of constantly recovering from the past," added another. The Chancellor looked directly at Wu Jin. "Why? Why share something so valuable? You could use this technology to become the most powerful species in the galaxy." Wu Jin was quiet for a moment. He looked out at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. "Because," he said finally, "power isn't about controlling others. Real power is about protecting others. We've learned that the hard way." He gestured to the screen, which now showed images of peaceful cities across the galaxy. "Every world that doesn't get destroyed by earthquakes is a victory. Every population that doesn't have to flee from volcanoes is a success. Every civilization that can grow instead of just survive makes the entire galaxy stronger." The Chancellor nodded slowly. "When could this process begin?" "Immediately," He-jin said. "We have construction teams ready to deploy to any world that requests assistance. Construction teams? A delegate asked. 50,000 trained engineers and technicians, Ji-hoon explained. They're already aboard ships waiting for your decision. The hall burst into excited discussion again. Hae-jin, watching from the observation deck, couldn't help but smile. His simple discovery about missing disaster reports had led to this moment. The HFY Chancellor called for a formal vote. All in favor of accepting humanity's offer to share planetary management technology? Hands, tentacles, and appendages rose throughout the hall. Hae-jin tried to count, but there were too many. It looked like nearly everyone was voting yes. The motion passes overwhelmingly, the Chancellor announced. Humanity's gift is accepted with gratitude. The hall erupted in cheers and applause. Representatives rushed forward to meet with the human delegation, asking questions and requesting information about their worlds. Later that evening, Hae-jin found himself at a reception celebrating the historic agreement. He was talking with Jin-woo, the investigation team leader who had helped uncover the truth about Earth. Can you believe this all started with a data anomaly? Jin-woo said, sipping his drink. The best discoveries usually do, Hae-jin replied. I just noticed something that didn't make sense.